Peace in, folks. How you doing? Use the force. It's under here. Positive mental attitude. You know how we do. So, been having a couple of little conversations about the vaccine recently. You know, each to their own. However, it just makes no sense for normal people, healthy, under 60s. Maybe even if you want to be a little bit more narrow and say under 50s, but it looks like under 60s. Unless you have history of illness, why would you take it? The vaccine's like a human immune system for those that have a weak immune system, right? You know, that's why flu jabs get given to the elderly and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You get these, it's for the weakness, right? But this virus is shown not to be so severe. I think there's something like the vaccine has got like a, I forget the figures, but basically what it means is the vaccine's effectiveness is not as effective as a healthy human's body. And vaccines have side effects. So if healthy humans start having a vaccine, they could get ill where they wouldn't have. Why would healthy people take vaccines? I don't get it. I don't not get it because I haven't got any information. I don't get it because I've been looking at information even before I'd looked at information. Knowing what vaccines are, knowing the basics of the human body and the basics of the immune system, it's like, well, it doesn't seem to make any sense for healthy people to have a vaccine. Sure, if you want to have one, go and have one. I just think, like, why are the media and the government peddling this? You know, I mean, I'm sure that the fact that the media got centralised under Tony Blair has nothing to do with it. And I'm sure the fact that corporations have a vested interest in the media and how that works out for humankind, you know, I'm sure there's nothing untoward going on at all. So as there's nothing untoward going on, there's no problem with healthy people not having a vaccine, is there? Like, you can't, like, it's too new. It's a brand new style of vaccine. No, I won't be, thank you very much. So I just, you know, I've been having these conversations and a couple of people have been like, you're healthy, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're healthy, it's about not spreading it on. Well, so then it does matter if you're healthy. Because you're only going to spread it on if it beats your immune system. If your immune system beats it, which 97+% of us it does, then you are not a spreader if your immune system beats it. And again, over 97% of us do beat it, so then couldn't spread it. So the media are peddling nonsense. And it seems possibly so are the government. I haven't heard them saying healthy people have got to have it, but the rhetoric that's coming out of the media, which remember was centralised by the government, means the government are feeding the narratives. You know, so what's going to happen? Who knows? You know, I just want to see change. You know, and I know that's going to take a bit of time, so I'm not sort of like bullying a china shop on this one, which is nice, because sometimes when I'm a bull in a china shop, things can get a little bit messy. So, yeah, we're going to try and remain calm. But, you know, I just think it's worth having these conversations and it's worth asking these questions. Why would healthy people have a vaccine? Knowing what an immune system is, why would you do that? So, you know, have a look, ask some questions. Don't just follow a narrative. Like, people often accuse me of just looking at information that will feed my narrative. Yet they haven't asked me what my narrative is, so they wouldn't possibly know what was feeding my information. It's like, I don't really have a narrative other than change. I ask questions, I find answers, and if I see something that opposes what I've found out, then I'll speak on it, because, like, isn't it better to get all sides of the story? At least that's how my mum raised me. You know, was there's always more than two sides to a story. Find them out. So, you know, I don't blindly follow anyone, and I don't suggest anyone does. You know, a lot of people that are speaking out with worth are saying, go and look at information. You know, don't just listen to someone like David Icke, right, who's like the king of conspiracies, right? David Icke's like the king of conspiracies. Well, some of these conspiracies are, let's say, conspiracy fact, and some are conspiracy theory, right? So, like, I think I've probably watched David Icke like a handful of times. He's very interesting. I looked into a couple of the things he was talking about, and I was, you know, shocked how right he was. Lizards and stuff, I don't write anything out. There could be any types of beings in this universe, even on this earth. I was seeing something earlier. Rex Bear Leak Project. I don't often mention him, you know, but I watch Leak Project. It's very interesting. It's full of conspiracies, right? It's full of it. But it's probably the only thing I watch that actually, you know, regularly, that has that is, you know, happily just diving into all conspiracies, whether they're conspiracy fact or conspiracy theory, and just really tearing into it. You know, he doesn't, the beautiful thing is, it's not like he just believes anything. You know, he always gives whoever he's interviewing the space to say whatever they like, because when talking about some things, you know, it's not always easy to talk about them, you know, because you don't know who your audience is, and most people who are used to diving into anything a little bit different knows about opposition. You know, I'm not a flat earther. Respect to flat earthers. If they want to believe the earth is flat, that's their gig, right? But anyway, what Rex Bear was saying, Leak Project, it's really, you know, it's really cool. He does some deep stuff on history, you know, to stuff on UFOs, to like some real conspiracy. He has flat earthers on, and that's, you know, that's their gig, right? Like, you know, as I say, if you're not looking to believe everything and look for an answer, you just want to, you know, I like finding things that pique my interest. Now I'm like, oh, let me go and have a look at that. Do you know what I mean? And I'll take that from anywhere, whether it like happens to come from like some mainstream documentary, right, or whether it comes from some, like, I don't know, on the fringe researcher, right? I don't care. Information's information. The more we can get, the wider our perspective, the better I think things can be. That's how I was raised. So yeah, Rex Bear, can't believe it. 3 times I've remembered. He was saying how apparently, and this was because he was using like mainstream geology. I'm pretty sure it was like there's like 7 layers to Earth. I know there's different layers of the crust, so maybe say he sounded like he was talking. It was like mainstream said information. I'd have to check, but I thought that was interesting. You know, I mean, he gave some, of course, because I was talking about beings from other places, wasn't I? Right, and he was saying how it's spoken, written of that, you know, there's different beings in different levels of the earth, which is, you know, come on, this is fun. Like, there's no, we couldn't know right now, because they were talking about Antarctica. That's it, because there's been this Antarctica. It's very interesting, right? When you look at the like the North Pole, yeah. North and South, have they both got ice on them? Oh, all right. See, I'm not the know-it-all. Anyway, they were talking about Antarctica, right? And they were also talking about Atlantis, right? Because I don't give a shit what anyone says. I think Atlantis was real. And around 12,000 years ago, when this massive thing happened on Earth, to Earth, for Earth, whatever, but this massive thing happened where timelines have now been destroyed because of it. You know, we've got buildings and history that way precedes that time period. But, like, you know, all mainstream archaeology and information is talking like, you know, we've come about in this time period, as opposed to there's clear evidence of some catastrophe on Earth that, you know, hugely affected whatever civilizations were here in any way, shape or form, you know. So it's very interesting, you know, because when you look into deep history, you realise, well, mate, there's stuff that dates us around dinosaurs. Right? I mean, you know, it's fringy. It's not like, you know, set information, but there's things that, because you can find like human skeletal remains, modern day human skeletal remains, in a layer of the earth that is so old that it has to date back to a certain time, and even that will not, like, that's just like, you know, it's just one thing, it's not conclusive, right? But like, in a way, it is conclusive, but, you know, certainly Western academia has a certain way about it, so, you know, whatever. But I just find it fascinating, all these things that predate our timeline that we're taught, certainly in the West, you know, certainly in England, and it's immense, you know. So what was I going to say? Richness in the history, yeah, Atlantis. Oh, there you go, fucking hell, back to it again. To the Atlantic to Antarctica. So Antarctica, and it's saying about how, like, the Germans, like, I think it was just before World War II or so, but they basically sent a mission down there to set up bases, and it sort of seems like, and I've come across stuff like this before, that there's been some, like, you know, international battle for control of them lands, and it, you know, you know, the whole talk of the Germans lost the war, right? But when you then look, like, the German economy's always been one of the world's strongest. Like, you know, they have German scientists being, like, leapfrogged into positions of power all around the world in scientific places. So it's very interesting, you know. What's written in history isn't always history fact. Some of it is history theory, you know. It's kind of the same as conspiracies. History is too vast and with too many question marks. It's life, right? Something happened 12,000 years ago on Earth, people. And, you know, whatever that was, I'm convinced that it had a huge impact on our consciousness, on our knowledge, and on our worldwide society, and how we fundamentally lived and interacted with each other. Because this nonsense about human nature being this barbaric fucking... I get part of that. I just don't agree with it. I just don't agree with it. I don't agree with the whole we evolved out of monkeys things. I'm more likely to believe that we were created than I am to believe we evolved out of monkeys. You know, DNA alterations. There's many questions and many different answers, right? So that's why I can't ever say, I know this is what happened in history. I know this is how it is. I know X, Y, Z. I don't. I say, it looks like this is happening. It looks like that. I feel like this is happening. Right? They're non-definitive because I'm not definitive, because I can't possibly be. Always changing, always growing, always learning. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's a good way to be. So yeah, that's how that is. So yeah, there you go. Nice bit of homework for you. Have a look into Antarctic and into Atlantis, and you know, have some fun. You know, it hasn't always got to be COVID level serious. You know, sometimes you can just dive into some information that's less controversial, although often controversial routes turn up. What can you do? You know. Anyway, we're up on that time, so I'm going to say to you, use the force, positive mental attitude, be kind with your thoughts to yourselves like you would others, keep loving your hearts for yourselves like you would others, and let's get it. Get what, John? Awareness, of course. Peace in.